I happen to be a fan of the Doomsday Clock, which is the graphic of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists unveiled in 1947, which tries to alert us with a considered opinion of how close or far we are from nuclear war and nuclear Armageddon. And as people who follow the Doomsday Clock will know, that when it was unveiled in 1947, it was 7 minutes from midnight. It went closer to midnight during the height of the Cold War. Then, as some measure of détente and Kennedy's initiatives came to fruition, it was moved away from midnight. Then it came closer to midnight. Then the Cold War ended in December 1991, or so we thought. And the clock was reset at 17 minutes away from midnight, the farthest away. Every president since 1991 has been in a period in which the clock has moved closer to midnight. I would argue that every president since 1991, Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump 1, Biden, have moved us closer to disaster, that this isn't just an accident of their term. We had all of the ability to make peace in 1991. We chose not to. We chose not to consciously. The military-industrial complex and the lobbies, the Israel lobby and others, chose not to. They chose not to because they said after 1991, we are all powerful and now we can do what we want. And some of our so-called leaders and strategists put it exactly in those terms, Wolfowitz and others, who had the doctrine that now we can do whatever we want. We can go to war anywhere we want. We can overthrow any government anywhere we want. I had a bit of a front row seat in those days because I fruitlessly was trying to get the United States to actually help the Soviet Union actively in 1990, and then to help Russia in 1991 and 1992 with financial assistance because of an urgent financial crisis that engulfed not randomly, but a failed economic system. But when a system fails and a society is in distress, I believe you help so that you don't get into worse trouble. So I had a front row seat. I was part of an effort as an advisor to President Gorbachev to try to enlist US support for financial stabilization in a very deep crisis. Then I was asked by President Yeltsin, and I mentioned this, I actually was in the Kremlin on I think it's December 13. I haven't been able to absolutely confirm the specific date, but it was around December 13, 1991, when President Yeltsin walked across the room and sat in front of me, because I was a young kid, but happened to be head of the delegation. And he said, "Gentlemen," because it was all men, "I want to tell you the Soviet Union is over." That's pretty interesting to hear that in the Kremlin. I kind of pinched myself. And then it was my turn to speak. And I said, "Mr. President, this is one of the greatest days in modern history. And I am sure that my country will come to your assistance to give you help, to help you stabilize, because I know how extreme the financial crisis is. I'm a financial economist. I've helped stabilize a number of hyperinflations. You need some urgent help. Even just a standstill on debt service payments because you don't have foreign exchange reserves. This is a revolution. You need help to stabilize. But Mr. President, I'm sure that this will happen." Incidentally, without digressing, I had said the same thing as Poland's advisor 2 years earlier. And when I made those recommendations as a technical economist, General Scowcroft, delivered within 8 hours the recommendations that I made, and Senator Dole. So I thought, I'm a pretty good economist, very convincing, and they'll do the same. Nothing of the sort. Then I got blamed for the lack of stabilization in Russia by many people, though it was exactly the opposite of what I had been saying, because we refused to provide any help whatsoever. And honestly, I could not quite figure it out. I knew that the people weren't very clever, but I still couldn't figure out why. To summarize, the reason why is that the Cold War did not end in December 1991. It was only midway. Because the idea, which actually goes back to the British, I would date it to 1840, was to destroy Russia, then to destroy the Soviet Union, and then back again, now we'll destroy Russia. And Brzezinski spelled it out, of course, in his book in 1997, The Grand Chessboard, opining that a NATO expansion eastward would be inevitable, that Russia would exceed. What could it do? He actually has a whole chapter reasoning that Russia would never side with China. Impossible, Zbig told us. And I liked Zbig because he was a nice man who helped me when I was helping Poland. But he had his designs. We're going to break Russia. And that's what the military-industrial complex went after 1991.